So it is almost about 1:30 in the morning, and I've been very neglectful with videos lately. Life is usually pretty busy in the summer, and this summer has been exceptionally busy. I manifested some things, but I kind of got them all at once. So that wasn't the way I intended it to happen. So I just said yes to all of it. And so now I'm in the thick of all of it. And I have the opportunity to sort of pick and choose. And some things I think I've kind of set parameters or timelines on, and other things I've kind of have left like I'm undecided. But so I got a lot of things all at once, and that's not the topic of this video. I just thought I would kind of explain why I've been really inconsistent and that I'm trying to decide. I'm really all over the place already. So I wanted to determine what it is that I really want. I wanted to get clarity. And so I thought I had clarity and I started creating and I hit these blocks and I wasn't getting these things, and getting none of them. And I kind of worked through like some identity issues that I had, and the I took like the lowest option, if that makes sense, just because I was kind of careening towards the ditch. So I decided, okay, I'm going to take this lowest option, but I'm going to see this as a blessing. I'm going to see this as a blessing because, first of all, it shows me all my hidden like identities. So, like self-worth came up and feelings of failure came up and like my value. And I was able to take each of these and challenge them. Is this true? Is this me? Um, and I was able to see all these perceptions that I've held about myself. This idea that, uh, I rather that I'm failing, that I can create in these areas, but not in these areas. And like I was failing not in just manifesting, but like in three-dimensional reality, like plummeting. And so it was a constant course, like internal correction, because like panic would come up. And in this, around this, like I moved through probably months of, there was a period of time, I think I shared a little bit of this in some other videos, or maybe just videos in my Facebook group, I'm not sure. Um, but where at one point I had called a crisis line just because my like nervous system was going off so much, and I just like I could not manage it, and there were dark moments. And so I knew like if I just express this to someone who's not going to negate my experience, who's not going to be just like it's okay, move through it, like no, sometimes it's just really not. And I mean, it can be okay, but stop trying to shut me down. So uh, I just needed to speak it to someone, and someone who wasn't going to judge me, and someone who wasn't going to try to negate my experience because my experience was uncomfortable for them. And it's not that the people around me would negate it because they didn't love me, but it was because um, my pain is uncomfortable for them. And so you will see this a lot of in your life where you will express something, and you're either going to have a camp of people who are like, yes, that's right, like that's terrible, you can't tolerate that, or you're going to have people who are like, oh, that's so terrible, no, like um but then you're going to have people who are like, well, look on the bright side. Okay, I'm going to tell you, when I feel like it'd just be easier if I just wasn't living, look on the bright side, I want to punch you in the face. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's true, right? Like it's such a negation of your experience. And I say this from a place of recognizing that um, I also couldn't stay there. I also had to recognize I need to lift myself out. And so the first step was to just speak this to someone who's not going to be like, oh my God, are you okay? And then ask me about it every time I saw them. Or, vilify people in my life because this was happening. Like, that's not going to help me. That's not going to take me where I want to go. So there was that. There was a lot of using some of the tools that I share, like really moving into the feeling of it, really challenging that, moving in and using some of the like vagus nerve tips, right? Where you like tip your head like this and you look upwards to just signal to your brain that you're safe because something is going on in your body and you're not safe. So, right, and then you do the other side and you look upwards and you count to 10 each side. And so I was doing this. I'd be sitting at the table eating dinner and I mean, my kids would be just like, what is wrong with mom? And I would look up and I would, count to 10 and just like doing that slow breathing, inhaling and then exhaling. And these are how we move through those moments of panic because some of these panic moments for me were extreme because I was moving through really deep rooted stories, painful stories that were interwoven through my entire life. And I had to be willing to challenge them and I had to be willing to move through that energy. And even though my three-dimensional reality was just like, you're screwed, I had to move into that space of calm, like, no, in this present moment, I am okay. And that's why I had to utilize some of this, like, cognitive behavioral therapy is your friend. I know we don't necessarily put that in with spirituality and manifesting, but our mind body connection it's like this. And so when one is off kilter, it's like this. So that's where you get all the spikes. So you need to utilize this like loop of your mind and body because you'll never think better than you feel and you'll never feel better than you think. So you want to be able to begin to really go inside and just listen to it. Like, what is going to help me right now? Do I need to shift the story, or do I need to shift my internal response? Because these are what is going to help you step there. And so, make a long story, well, I've already made it long, short. I kind of worked this process. And so every time circumstances was just like, ooh, you are in trouble. I had to use the tools. I had to move into the space. I had to challenge the stories. I had to determine, is it my body that needs to shift out of this response or is it my mind? Is it the stories? I had to like sit with the emotion and just release it, right? Like, so you feel it in your body. There are days I sat and I let that uncomfortable feeling, because when you release the story from it, it changes. And so, but it was like burning. So I would let the burning sit in my chest and in my stomach for a day or two. And then I mean, I'm going to be forthcoming. Sometimes it passes in 90 seconds, like they say in neuroscience. And then sometimes you've held this story so long in your body and it has had so many emotional responses that you're going to want to sit with it a while. And so I would sit with it all day. I don't necessarily mean sit. So I'd go about my day, but I would continually bring my awareness to this feeling. And I would feel it with no story. And I would allow it to pass. And then I would notice the story that came up. And I would see, oh, this is part of my identity. And then I would let it move out. Because I would challenge it. Well, is this me? No. How else can I look at this? How else can we perceive failure? Well, failure is learning. Like, nobody sees that baby walking along as like, ha, stupid baby. Like, you're such a failure. You can't walk. Like, no. But so why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we look at the world around us? Why do we let our feelings drive us into like, yeah, you're never going to get it sort of feelings? Because that's not true. And this is where moving into faith is about finding that internal space, just coming back to that moment. And I know I have a video here, like coming back when the panic comes up. It's happening. It's okay. It's happening. And calming, soothing that self. And so I'm maybe a little bit off topic because this wasn't what I came on to talk about. But I mean, it's a little bit of a segue. So anyway, I just wanted to explain why I've been absent. So I did a lot of that for probably about 6 months. And then I used a quantum tool because I like to play with awareness. And I might like to do some videos of some awareness exercises for people who are interested. Not everybody's into this. But the minute that we can most of us are knitted. Oh, my computer again. It really hates these videos. It keeps trying to shut them off. So anyway, we're really knitted into our experience, like as if we are one of the threads in the blanket. And so when we can step back, I like the analogy, I can't think of who uses it, but somebody who has a much bigger YouTube channel than me. So I'm not going to say that this is my thing. I'm stealing it from someone. I just don't remember their name right now. But if you want to know, you can always email me. And by the time you email me, I'll have remembered. But he had said that basically he refers to it as like the difference between being either the character in the game or the player of the game. So when you're the character of the game, you essentially are at the mercy of whatever is coming at you. And so you're really knitted into your experience. And so when you learn to play with your awareness, you manage to separate yourself so that you have your blanket here, but then you're here. You're not. And so I've used it a lot because it also it also aligns with what I talk about a lot, which is coming into that neutral space. And it allows you to take a step back where you're no longer reacting and you're responding. And so I really like that tool. And so I really want to start sharing that a little more. But today, my intention was actually just to sort of talk about not only why I've been MIA, because I manifested all of it all at one time by accepting the least thing, but also recognizing, no, the best thing is mine, if that makes sense. So it wasn't this or better. It was, all right, I'm going to take this because this is what I need in the moment. This is what I need in order to like accept and manage and move with my external awareness or experience, sorry. But this is mine. And then using my awareness, I played around with a quantum tool because I know I've talked a little bit about it in my group, but you know, I don't you don't need energy to manifest. I mean, aside from our personal energy, I just mean you don't need any fancy tools, but it certainly doesn't help. And I have always really liked to sort of play in that side of the pool. And for those of you who may think I've fallen off the deep end, I was never in the shallow end. So, it can really help you because it really gives you it really allows you to like shift, separate yourself. And it's not magic. I mean, it's our mind and it's the way that we interact with the world. And it has a lot to do with our awareness and perceptions. And so yeah, that's something I'm really wanting to talk about a little more because I feel like that's my thing. And I feel like so many people, when they use it, can make massive shifts in their life. And I have some interviews coming up with some people who I think are really awesome. One of them is a quantum healer. One of them, I guess you could almost call him a mindset coach, but I wouldn't pigeonhole him as just a mindset coach. I think he's more than that. And then someone who I really just love her just vibrancy, and she manifests. And yeah, I think bringing some people and having some conversations about their experiences will be amazing. Yeah, so let's move to what I actually was making this video about. Thank you for humoring my slight ramble. So I early into my manifesting journey, I learned a lot about working with the mind and the subconscious mind. And not necessarily, I guess at the time I didn't really consider it the subconscious mind. It was really more like just all the unknown mind. Because at that time I also didn't know the subconscious mind is very much in your body. But this is essentially, so your subconscious mind has a way that it essentially categorizes things. So when you're young, it will file things in certain areas. So in NLP, I believe they call this mind mapping. And so there's like, or eye mapping maybe. uh, I have done some studying in NLP, but I am hardly a master. Full disclosure. But this is a tool that I used with zero. I didn't even know NLP existed or what it was when I learned this, and it was quite effective. So I'm going to teach you from that space. So basically, your mind has places that it files things. So in regards to like the way eye mapping goes, I'm a big eye roller. I know that. I watch myself on video and I'm just like, oh my God, I look like I'm having a seizure. And that's because I retrieve a lot of information from above. And just based on however you think, certain people will look left, certain people will look right. And it sort of depends on whether it's like, and again, this is bringing it back to NLP. And so don't quote me here because I'm not the expert, but it does have a bit to do with like whether it's like visual or a kinesthetic experience or what that is. But for me, I'm a very visual person. And so I retrieve a lot of information up from the visual side. And that's why I always look like I'm about to pass out when I'm talking. Or at least that's what I feel like I look like. But whatever, it is what it is. I can accept me and laugh at the same time. So anyhow, so this tool. All right, I want to walk you through this so that this video does not go on too much longer. Okay, so if you want to play along, awesome, because often we watch these videos and we just do it from an intellectual space, and I don't say that from judgment, I say that from experience. Some of the best videos I've ever watched, I'm like, I file them in this little folder, like, for later, that I'm going to do this later, and then I never do it. So I encourage you to do this along with me. So I want you to close your eyes. And this is how you're going to determine how you file things, likes and dislikes. And then you're going to shift those around so you can begin to really start to take the charge off things. So yeah, okay. Caveat to this is like subconscious work. It doesn't necessarily get rid of like some of our more core patterns that are related to like small t or even big T trauma. But this can really begin to lessen your charge around things. So you want to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine on the screen of your mind that you see a big clock, and it's a traditional clock, so it's got hands. And so I want you to think of something that you absolutely love. I'm thinking of chocolate. And so for me, when I think of chocolate, I want you to imagine where it is. Where do you see it on the clock of your mind? So if you saw a big clock and you see the hands and you see the numbers, what number does your favorite thing show up at? Okay, so I want you to wipe that clean. And still, with your eyes closed, I want you to see that clock again with its hands and the numbers. And I want you to think of a thing that you really don't like. Now, what number on the clock does it show up at? Okay, and then I want you to wipe that clean. And now I want you to see the clock. So close your eyes again, see the clock with the hands and the numbers. And I want you to take the thing that you don't like, and wherever that is for you, I want you to move it to the center. So just bring it up to the center of the clock, right where the hands meet. And just give it a moment. And if you want to, if you feel like it, you'd like to start liking that thing, I want you to place it wherever it is that you placed the thing that you like. But if you don't want to start liking this, that's okay too. Just neutralize it right there in the center. And so what often happens, and I don't want you to, I didn't really want to say what it has to be. The majority of people place the things that they like above the 3 and the 9. Stupid computer. So they place them above the 3 and the 9. And so, and then they place the things that they don't like below the 3 and the 9. And so for me, my numbers were 1 and 7. And so I took my thing from 7 and I neutralized it. But if you took your thing from 7 and you place it to 1, and depending on the charge, you might have to do this more than one time, but try this with something that's pretty low risk. I really wouldn't, like, if you and your boss are at odds, maybe don't start there. Maybe start with like some foods that aren't your favorite. But I want you to start to practice this because it can really give you some, if you find that there's something that's constantly coming up for you and you don't like this, this is a tool that you can begin to use to really just take control of your perceptions of things. And I mean, you can start with like chocolate and liver, which were the things that I went for. I like the chocolate, and I'm not really a big liver kind of gal, if you were wondering which one it was. I mean, for some people, it's opposite. But I just moved the liver into the center just because I'm like liver since I was a kid, and I have I mean, yeah, no love lost there. So I don't feel the need to like it. I'm just cool with neutral. So yeah, I'd really love it if you share your experience about this. I've kind of shared this for a lot of years, and 90% of people, I'd say maybe 99% of people have great results, and then some other people might need to like wriggle it a little. And some of that might just really be like playing around with it and noticing, do I have a block against this, or is there a story that comes up when I use this exercise? But anyway, I yeah, just wanted to share that tool just as one of the things that I have found helpful over the years. And uh, yeah, I'd love to hear about your experience. So I hope you share. Thanks. Oh, yes, and because I always forget to tell you, please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe if this content was useful for you. And don't forget to hit the little bell so you get a so that you get a notification. I'm sorry, it's like 10 to 2 o'clock in the morning here. So I'm a little tired. But don't forget to hit the little bell in case you want to be notified when I post every inconsistently. So have a really fantastic night, and I clearly have the tired giggles. So until the next time I post inconsistently, until I post consistently, have a wonderful evening.